Hi, you guys. You're gonna laugh because I was trying to take this video and it was quiet a minute ago. And isn't that, oh, you guys, oh my gosh, we just got in new candy that isn't chocolate. I'm actually not a huge chocolate person. And look at the gummies, orange slices, lemon drops. But anyway, I'm here actually to talk about nonfiction because it's time. I've talked about every other genre, and over here are my nonfiction books of the year. And some of them are brand new this year, but some of them, I mean, one of the things I enjoy the most, and these two lovely ladies, hi guys.
Sorry.
Yes?
Which is the best? This is
Do you believe it's
all this.
It's a different
believe.
story.
This is more in your mind, like of the philosophy of living. And this is a very direct story about a spy who was very important in World War II to America.
Αυτό σου λέει είναι αληθινή ιστορία και αυτό είναι και λίγο φαντασίας που σου αφήνει να φαντάζεσαι πράγματα, να
Ξέρετε, είναι πιο δυνατό βιβλίο που σου
Who is-
αγγίζει.
who is
With
more
touch in
powerful?
heart. They say. Okay. Αυτό θα πω.
So I'm helping people.
Sorry.
No worries, hon. I'll tell you about them later.
Is for, sorry.
Yes, yes.
Is for a woman 50 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's...
Okay. Thank you.
So sorry. No, it's okay. I was gesturing with my hands. Okay. So this is my life. It's so great. I love helping people with their exact situation. And so sometimes the book you've heard about is not the perfect thing once I get to know you a little bit. But one thing for sure is that I can tell you my favorites of the year in nonfiction. By now, you've probably heard me talk about the best book of the year for me across all genres. And it's by Ben Milligan, who is a Navy SEAL, but he's also a dad of 3 boys who lives in Wheaton, and he is a Navy SEAL. And there's so many personal things about this book that I love, but one of them is that his grandfather was a Marine in World War II, and his grandmother one time said to her son, who she thought was a sailor, he came back from Iraq from a tour in the desert, and she knew that, and she said, "Where were you?" And he told her, and she said, "I thought you were a sailor." He said, "No, I'm a SEAL." She goes, "Well, why is anyone in the Navy working in the desert?" And he had more tours after that, but that really registered with him. And just being the perseverant person that he is, the research that he did, he came up with one of the best books I've ever read about the history of the Navy SEALs. And it is special ops. Tons of fireworks in that regard, but it's also great characterizations, in this case of at least one person in each of the sort of 8 operations that he sets forth as sort of creating the bullets that you need to connect the dots for how the SEALs came to be what they are today. It's just a thumping good read for anybody. I loved it, and I have no military background. Great characterizations, and also just evocation of how thrilling it is to be right there on the ground and in the air and in the sea. My second nonfiction book of the year is really different in that Tia Miles, she actually just won the National Book Award. This is a history that didn't have a lot of museums or formal things to read, but she put together the history of a flour sack that was given to the daughter by her mother, who was a slave, on the day her daughter was sold away from her. And in it had all that she carried, which was handfuls of pecans, which were, quite precious at the time, a little tattered dress for her to keep wearing, a lock of her mother's hair, and all her love. That's what she said to her daughter on the last day that she saw her. So Black American history, especially she calls them our 4 mothers, was hard to parse through, and she has a personal history with that, but the way she so poetically pieces together what this sack means, which is in the Smithsonian actually, is absolutely striking and unforgettable. I absolutely loved it. Great book club book. They both are, really. But it is there are illustrations in there showing the family as they made it through the 20s. And in fact, in the 20s, an ancestor, the granddaughter actually, embroidered on the sack what was in that sack and the origin of it. And so that's probably why it was in the Smithsonian. Absolutely fabulous. And then I can go on to books that are perennial favorites with me. E.H. Gombrich, his, it's my top 10 books of all time. He, in 6 weeks, wrote A History of the World in 1935 in Germany. It's been translated since into 30 languages. This one is illustrated. His tone is so approachable. It was technically for teenagers in Germany at the time, but it's still in print for a reason. I absolutely recommend it for a book club to read maybe a chapter a week or a month, to acquaint you with the most charming tone. He wrote The Story of Art, quite famously. I think there's, millions and millions and millions of copies in print. And that viewpoint of the world and his sort of droll sense of humor is makes it one of my highest recommends ever. And you just saw me get very particular with people who needed a certain book. And I can really help you. So this is on many Book of the Year lists. It is sort of an immigrant telling of her interest in nature and her father's interest in nature, the explorations that they took just on the weekends when they could. And she writes so movingly about the life as an immigrant and in the nature of animals and plants and everything. She calls them other astonishments all around her. And another thing that I get asked a lot is for mindfulness books. And there are some famous ones, but come in and let me help you track with something I think is really exquisite. And I can match you with, I think, the perfect gift for whoever you want to buy for. I love doing that. It's my favorite, as you just saw with my Albanian friends. And this is my corner, which is, I call it my introvert corner. I am one, nobody ever believes me, but I have a million stories of being an introvert, and one of them is that in an event that I go to every year, which goes on for kind of a long time, I have a space in that home that I have staked out over the dozens and dozens of years. And I found a new person in the family there last year, and he, he was new to the whole event thing. And I was like, "Hi, this is my spot." And we just laughed about being introverts and having to find a space. So that's why I put bye guys. That's why I put my introvert section right here in the hidey hole corner. These are the two best books if you are one or if you know one to understand what it's like. This is a comedy where a woman over 12 months begins to take on challenges that are way out of her comfort zone. She's actually hilarious, and essay by essay you will absolutely love it and begin to understand what it's like for us. It's hilarious. Reading People is not as academic as Susan Cain's Quiet, but it's about understanding a little bit more thoroughly how it all works, and with some kind of data and analysis, but also in good fun. Loved it. So Becoming Duchess Goldblatt is kind of the key and best introvert book ever. It's technically a memoir, although Duchess Goldblatt is a kind of a pseudonym, a character that the author took on so that she could be more outgoing, and it actually became kind of a viral social media sensation. And she would get back one by one to all of her fans, and then she wrote this book as a sort of an explanation of who she is to all her fans, and it became even larger. So truly exquisite, and my book of the year last year. So you can understand why I love what I do, especially this time of year. And sorry it got kind of chaotic today, but that's the way it is.